Hello, how are you? Hope you're happy, healthy and well out there. Welcome to Edinburgh. My name's Tony. The bike is out. It's been almost a year since we did a cycle, almost a year to the day, truthfully. And I needed to bring the bike in to town today. So I thought, well, since it was going to be here, let's go for a bicycle ride around town. Now, last time we did this, we cycled up Arthur's Seat, and then up part of the Royal Mile, and then kind of back down towards Arthur's Seat, something like that. I can't quite remember, there's something right about that. So right now we're in Princess Street Gardens, at least part of it. Art galleries there. We're actually on the opposite side of the train tracks as normal. Scott Monument is on the opposite, away from us. It's the other side of the train tracks from us. Anyway, so we may as well start from here. I don't know where we'll go. Let's just go for a cycle and see where it takes us. Sound good? Okay. Just before we get started, there is Davy the Piper over there. Look at him. Oh, I can't tilt up because the camera's on the bike. There he is. Right, so that there usually becomes a pleasant dome. Doesn't look like they've got started setting up yet, but truthfully they've got a couple of weeks. This is Underbelly. I don't know if they've got any venues here. I think they've got some venues down there, down the university. That building over there usually becomes Gilded Balloon. We'll go around, see if they're started yet. Obviously the signs aren't up yet, but I'm going to guess they're started doing stuff. If not inside, definitely. Well, if not outside, definitely inside. We'll go around and have a look. You know what? They're maybe not doing anything here this year, because it looks like they're doing a lot of building work on the building. So I wonder where Gilded Balloon's going to be. It could. We're going to have to search that, because this is where Gilded Balloon normally is. That's interesting. So all of that is still Underbelly though. Let's go around here, George Square. That should already be set up and running as Assembly Gardens now, because they usually have the Jazz Festival, which starts this weekend. So we're here at the bottom end of George Square right now, and they are very much still in the early stages of setting up, because the signs are still going up. And I can kinda just see in the gardens there, the Spiegel tents are not really set. Oh, there's one, that red wall right there. That's the start of a Spiegel tent right there. And then if we continue round to the other side of Bristol Square, we should see if Underbelly is getting set up. I'm going to stop here right now so we've got a good view. That's the other side of that red Spiegel tent that we saw a minute ago. And if I come around here, you can see the start of the famous Underbelly, so called because the performance space is a big upside cow tent. So that's getting set up right now as well. Let's go further around and see if we can see the entrance. Yeah, look at this. Very early days, but fringes are coming, my friends.
Pleasance. Getting very nicely set up. The famous number isn't up yet, but they're all getting set up good to go as well. We are probably slightly earlier than I would normally do this video. It's a beautiful building with so many performance spaces in there. I have performed on a stage in there. My wife has performed on a stage in there. My daughter, all 4 years old, has performed twice in there. And a lot of my friends who performed at the festival performed in there as well. It's a great place to hang out for the Fringe, actually. I do love just going in there and having a beer. Anyway, let's go down this way. Don't you think this is a lovely view to end it with? Look at that. Right here in Holyrood Park. There's Holyrood Palace there. Cotton Hill, Edinburgh Castle kind of just there. It's unbelievable how quickly we got round town on the bike. Because truthfully, we went from the Pleasance through the Cowgate, through the Grassmarket, up Castle Hill, down the Royal Mile, and to Holyrood Park, where I am now. That took me about under 20 minutes. I don't think you'd even be able to walk the Cowgate to the Grassmarket as good as that. So that was great. And doing it on an electric bike is the only way to do it in town. Anyway, it's a random one this week. It was just supposed to be a little cycle, but it was good to check out, see how things are prepping for the Fringe. Hope you've enjoyed that. Till next time. Oh, like, subscribe, you know, all that stuff. Bye, humans.